Hi, it's Erin here, and this week we continue with the theme from my last video on the joys of getting paid in the NDIS. So today we're going to look at the dreaded accounts payable, the unpaid, outstanding invoices that mess with your cash flow. I know, not the most exciting topic, but so important for your business. So when it comes to getting paid in the NDIS, as you probably know, there's 3 different ways that it happens. You've got agency managed, where you claim it directly from the portal. And as long as you've got your service bookings up to date and everything lines up, you get paid the next day. Fantastic. The other 2 ways are for plan managed participants and self-managed participants. These are the ones that can potentially take longer for your payments to come through for a couple of different reasons. But some of the challenges I see people having is not having a good process for follow-up that is regularly followed. But having a certain understanding about self and plan managed invoicing as well can help you get paid quicker. So firstly, the self-managed clients are effectively like a private client to you. So it's up to you, and depending on the supports you provide, whether you set policies in your business where you ask for payment up front on the day when the session happens, or whether you invoice them that day for them to pay as soon as they can, or you invoice them once a week. So if it's a type of service that has multiple touch points in a week, like support coordination, you might just want to do it once a week. But have that process in place and have a look at ways to make it as easy as possible for those clients to pay. If they're self-managing their NDIS funds, they're probably getting multiple emails and invoices each week, having to organise them and pay them and claim them back themselves from the NDIS. We already know what a task that is, right? So making it as simple as possible for your client will help get you paid as quickly as possible. So that could be setting up if your software lets you do this, having a discussion with that client that you could keep their credit card details securely in your software, and when you have a session they give permission to charge that, and then you just send them a paid copy of the receipt for them to claim or something similar. Otherwise you just have the expectation that they pay you within a certain number of days, and you plan your cash flow around that. The main thing that we have to understand is that they have a lot on their plate, managing their life with a disability and a lot of paperwork to juggle. So any way we can make it easier for them is a win for them and you. So then when we look at plan managed, I've had multiple conversations and questions from providers about why plan managers often take so long to pay, over a week or more, to pay invoices. Why can't they pay it straight away? And the reality is that there's a few things that can cause delays with plan managers. Number 1 is they have potentially a really high volume of invoices coming into them all day, every day. And they'll have their process for handling that workload. Some handle it better than others. The second one is that depending on the agreements that they have set up with their participants, they might need to get the participant's approval for every invoice before they pay it. And if that participant takes a couple of days to respond, or if they question the invoice, then that can delay your payment as well. Number 3 is some plan managers might have a schedule for making payments. They might make payments once or twice a week only. And if your invoice gets to them and is approved the day after they've just made their weekly pay run, then you're waiting another week for that payment to come through. So it's just understanding their process and factoring that into your cash flow planning, knowing that for self and plan managed, it can potentially be a week for those invoices to get paid. And if that's not how you want to run your business, it's up to you to set those policies and have those conversations with your self-managed participants to set the expectations and make a process for how they will pay straight away. The other thing with plan managers is if there's something not quite right on the invoice, whether it's that you don't have the right details on there, or one of your support dates falls outside of the service booking, quite often we've found that they won't proactively come back to you and tell you that this invoice needs updating or can't be paid for XYZ reason. I'm not sure what they do with them at their end, but it's not until you chase them up that they will tell you what's happened and why it hasn't been paid. That's why it's super important to have a regular follow-up process that is done at least weekly without fail to keep those kinds of delays in payment to a minimum. What our process tends to look like is we send the invoice in the usual weekly claiming and invoicing run, and then a certain number of days later, if it hasn't been paid, we will resend the invoice just in case it got missed as a reminder. And then a certain amount of time after that, if it still hasn't been paid, then we're making a phone call to follow up. It's not a nasty, why haven't you paid phone call. It's hi, just checking you received the invoice. Are there any issues with it? And then if they have it and it's all fine, then like, can you let us know when it's going to be paid so we can make a note? And that's usually enough to clear up any issues and give them that reminder that we're expecting that payment. Oh yeah, the other possibly obvious step that in that whole follow-up process is making sure you keep an eye on the payments coming in and marking off the invoices as paid so that you're only chasing up the actual outstanding invoices. I know it might seem super obvious, but that's where having your reconciling in Xero or your accounting software is super important. If you're not keeping up on that, then what's showing as outstanding may be huge, but you actually do have those payments sitting there. It may seem obvious, but it definitely is something that I've seen happen a few times, and that's why having a detailed process or checklist makes a huge difference. So steps don't get missed and you're not wasting time and money chasing things that aren't outstanding. So this is just part of the process that we follow for our clients that outsource their NDIS billing to us. So if you want to get that off your plate so you or your current admin team can focus on other important tasks, get in touch with us. Alternatively, we're finally getting close to launching our first round of training on how we recommend you set up your whole NDIS billing workflow, from intake to claiming to the stuff we've talked about today. So if that sounds interesting to you, make sure you sign up for our cheat sheet below to get on our mailing list and be the first to find out when that training is ready, like really soon. So I'll see you next time with more tips to help you simplify, outsource and grow.